All right, Wilson, I got the stack ready here. Downtown Billings, it's 35 degrees, although it is windy this morning so far. Here is a look at First News. It's fair, it's accurate. You get the damn truth. Cuba right now is reeling. A big, powerful Category 3 hurricane ripped across the island. Winds knocked out the country's power grid. Magnitude of the impact from Hurricane Rafael remains unclear because it's still early hours of the morning. They had some big storm surges and flash floods in Cuba, also ravaged part of the Cayman Islands and also Jamaica. State Department warning travelers of going to Cuba and other places. It's going to be a mess for a few days. In the meantime, dozens of Russian drones have now targeted the Ukrainian capital of Kiev. A big nighttime attack lasted 8 hours. Russia keeping up their relentless pounding of the Ukraine after almost 1,000 days of war. The Russian attack sought to stretch their air defense system. They're trying to unnerve the city residents in the Ukraine. Ukraine's forces are struggling right now to match the might of Russia's military. They also got 12,000 troops from North Korea helping them. Western support is crucial. There's uncertainty how long that will continue with the election of Donald Trump, as Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have been pro-war against Russia. Trump wants to end the conflict. Joe Biden's name wasn't on the ballot, but they say history will likely remember Vice President Kamala Harris's resounding defeat as his loss, too. Democrats trying to pick up the pieces following Trump's decisive victory. Harris backers are expressing frustration with Joe Biden's decision to remain in the race so long, despite concerns about his age. Well, what? You're the ones that covered for him.
Yeah.
Democrats, John Tester, everybody, they covered for him. Oh, this guy, he is a worker. Courage. I've never seen anybody work so diligently. The guy spent most of his time on the beach in Delaware. They covered for him. Now they're using him as a scapegoat. His decision to wait until 107 days before the election is a move that his Democrat critics said sealed his party loss. It wasn't his decision. He was running up until that weekend.
That's right.
And Pelosi and Schumer and all of the others all got together. John Tester, first one to call for his removal. Give me that. Trump spent his first day as president-elect getting phone calls. World leaders, Joe Biden has invited him to the White House. Trump said he's going to keep a low profile, going to stay out of the way. Vice President Kamala Harris called him yesterday to concede the race and congratulate. Biden said he needs to come to the White House, give him the keys. The president-elect looks forward to the meeting, according to a spokesman. An immigration crackdown appears imminent during the second Trump administration. Republican hammered throughout his campaign the fact that immigration is putting an unnecessary burden on Americans from border to border. It's made our country dangerous. We got the statistics here a few weeks ago about how many murderers have been released and how many sexual predators have been released on our streets. How will they be detained? How will they be identified? That's coming in another episode. There were several large airstrikes that hit Beirut yesterday morning, including one adjacent to Lebanon's airport. The military issued evacuation notices for the sites, saying there are Hezbollah and Hamas facilities there. Nobody has ever conducted a war like the Israelis have, giving people time to leave before they continue their battle against terrorism. Hungary's right-wing leader said Donald Trump's victory will help his own battle against immigration in their country. In Argentina, a president who once bear-hugged Trump at a political conference is attacking his critics as rats and parasites. Trump's second term could realign diplomacy around the world, also restore a lot of our traditional international alliances that we had. China, they're bracing right now for unpredictability with their ties in the United States. Trump has always been tough on China. China has run amok here in the last 3.5, 4 years. Trump's also promised for more tariffs. The Biden-Harris administration kept the Trump tariffs in place on Chinese imports. Trump's going to make it tougher for them, bring more of our industries and people back here to the U.S. Federal Reserve officials are poised today again to reduce interest rates. for a second time. The Fed's future moves are now more uncertain because of the election that took place yesterday. Also raised the specter of meddling by the White House in the Fed's policy decision right now. President Trump-elect having proclaimed that as president, he should have a voice in what some of the central bank is doing because it's affecting our nation's economy. It is now virtually certain, according to one group, that 2024 could be the hottest year on record, warming above the pre-industrial average, according to a European agency known as Copernicus, a grim milestone in global temperatures that scientists said should inspire ambition at the United Nations Climate Change Summit that they have coming up in Azerbaijan. I don't know why they picked Azerbaijan to have their climate conference, but they did. Maybe they got great pools or something there, Mark. I'm not sure. There has been record-shattering temperatures around the world, heavy precip in some, droughts, hurricanes, tornadoes, like there is every single year on the earth. And not all scientists, by the way, are on board. They never tell you that. Some scientists say, and some don't.
Making it not science.
Exactly. U.S. stocks yesterday, folks, stormed to all kinds of records. The S&P jumped 2.5%. Best day they've had in 2 years. The Dow Jones Industrial Average jumped 1,500 points yesterday. NASDAQ was up 3%. Big banks, they led the way. That Trump policies will lead to strong economic growth and not only that, less regulation. Bitcoin jumped to a new record yesterday. Treasury yields ran higher. All worried, of course, about government borrowing and inflation. The U.S. dollar yesterday jumped against other currencies. That's big for 150 of you that are going to be exchanging American dollars for pesos.
That's a fact.
Here coming up in January, Wilson. That's right. You got to know what the peso exchange rate is. Because you go down there and they'll say, hey, Whiskers, come on in. And you go in there and you'll see something and it'll say it's 190 pesos. Well, you got to know that's $10.
Right.
And they take American money down there. So you gained a little buying power yesterday if you're going on the trip. Some other news today, the Australian government has announced what they have described as new legislation. A lot of you may like this. That would set an age limit of 16 years for children to start using social media. And they want to hold the platforms responsible for their compliance. Their Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, said Thursday the legislation will be introduced to their parliament this year. It would take 12 months after it becomes law. Those platforms include X, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. They would need to use the year to work out how they would be able to enforce it for children younger than the age of 16. Facebook and Instagram said the company respects any age limitations that their government wants to introduce. The Canadian government is ordering the dissolution of TikTok's Canadian business after a security review of that Chinese company behind that social media app, but they said they would not block access. It's meant to address the risks related to ByteDance Ltd's establishment of TikTok technology in Canada. TikTok widely popular too with kids in Canada. Well, some financial news yesterday. There are 50 European leaders that are now going to reassess their transatlantic relations in hope that Donald Trump's presidency will avoid the strife and political pitfalls that they have had in the last 3.5 to 4 years. Why? See, none of this information was available prior to the election.
No.
Was it? That media kept all of this quiet, folks. 50 European leaders. Things were complicated under the Biden-Harris administration, holding them back. 27 nations from the European Union bloc will be meeting as soon with other leaders from the United Kingdom, Turkey, and the Balkans. All now going to figure out what's in store for them in the next 4 years. Nissan reported a loss. Another major automobile company, EV mandates are killing them. Their vehicle sales sank while their cost ballooned. So they're cutting 9,000 jobs, or 6%, of their 133,000 employees. They're also going to slash their global production capacity by 20%. They're promising a turnaround. CEO said, I'm going to take a 50% pay cut. I'm going to lead by example. Nissan didn't respond to some of the global changes quickly enough. He said these soaring raw material costs are killing them. Costs that you need, folks, for batteries. Batteries. It's killing them. It's killed a lot of them. Shares of Tesla, though, they went up yesterday. They said they'll benefit from a Trump return to the White House. Tesla said they stand to make significant gains with the new administration coming in. Shares of Tesla up 14.8% yesterday, while all of the other rival electric vehicle makers, their shares fell yesterday. So far this morning, the futures are up, looking pretty good so far. Nikkei, Hong Kong's index, all showing higher trends this morning. Oil was down a little bit yesterday again, as we are going to return to being a major oil producer. The price of Bitcoin hit a new high yesterday. The president had said during the campaign that he supports cryptocurrencies and wanted to look at it further. Bitcoin was up 8%. Beyond Meat reversed a sales slide in the third quarter. They finally grew revenue, first time since 2022, as they charged higher prices, though, for their plant-based meat. The California-based company said their revenue rose 7.6%, did about $81 million in the quarter. Wall Street was expecting it to be a little lower. Beyond Meat said they saw a 7% decrease, though, in the volume of their products sold, but since they increased the price of their products, their profit went out. 7% decrease in the volume of their plant-based test tube put together meat patties.
No thanks.
Beef, folks, I keep telling you, it is the original plant-based meat. Everything you eat, hamburger, steak, doesn't matter, comes from a cow. That's all plant-based. All plant-based. They eat grass, they eat hay, they eat grain. It's all plant-based meat already. They're going to struggle. And Republican Tim Sheehy defeated Jon Tester. We found that out yesterday. Sheehy aligned his campaign with Donald Trump. Tester had never run an election before, though, when Donald Trump was on the ticket. He promised that he would address the southern border crisis, curb government regulation. Tester tried to distance himself from the Democrats, although he could not. Never officially endorsed Kamala Harris, but was the first senator to endorse getting rid of Joe Biden. Tried to concentrate his campaign on abortion rights. Tried to align himself with Republicans, but people in Montana didn't buy it. He lost about 53% to 46%, and it allowed the Senate now to go to the Republicans' control. They also picked up seats in Ohio. They also picked up a seat in West Virginia. He said he was blessed. He's been serving the United States since he was 18. Jon Tester and his campaign and others spent more than $300 million on this Senate contest this year, most of it coming from outside lobbyist groups, as Tester was the biggest recipient of lobbyist cash across the United States. And waiting to vote up in Bozeman yesterday, hour-long line, just like we had. Their polls closed at 8, but the last ballot in Bozeman wasn't cast last night until 4 a.m. in the morning. And a lot of those were stuck in line. One man said he missed the last two elections because he was living overseas and he wasn't going to miss this one. The line was for people who still needed to register to vote. That's where the line was. Voters were served snacks and pizza and listened to a DJ play music as they stood outside in the Montana cold weather. So that's why I think we should close registration the day before. Mm-hmm. Let all the county workers, clerks, everything, then concentrate on ballots.
The election is a big enough deal on its own.
Yeah. And you know what? You have exactly a little over 4 years now to register for the next one.
Very true.
Nope.
I was busy.
I was busy for 4 years in a row. And I'm going to do it on Election Day. It just kills me. But anyway, some of them, these diehards, stood in line. There were some real patriots out there, folks, no doubt about it. In fact, up in Bozeman, temperature got down into the 20s at times, and but they said there were super nice people out there trying to keep us comfortable. So, some good stories coming in from Election Day. Cat Country News Time is 6:47. Sports and weather next.
Okay, Cowboys fans, come in here, sit down on the couch. I want to talk to you. Your new guy is Cooper Rush. That's going to be your quarterback.
Who?
Cooper Rush. Dak Prescott got an MRI yesterday, and his hamstring partially peeled away from the bone, and he's going to be out more than 4 weeks. The Cowboys are sitting at 3-5. It's starting to look like it's not your year. Don't worry, Dak's still getting paid more than anybody else in the history of the game.
That's right. Ooh, ow, ooh, ooh, ooh. Wow. Well, we're going to warm up today, 53. In fact, we just keep getting warmer through the weekend. 58 tomorrow, 60s a little bit over the weekend. Good stuff. It's 35 out there right now. Yesterday, as I was working up there in the hills, I saw snow up in the mountains, so that's where it should be. Mm-hmm. So a little good stuff for everybody. 6:49, that's what's happening. Mark and Paul here together. Thanks for tuning into The Cat or listening on the app round the world 24/7.